guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
Hey! We're recording the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is...
Morning somewhere!
For February 17th, 2025. My name is Bernie Burns, sitting right over there. She does have a fever, and the only prescription is more podcasts. It's Ashley Burns. Say hi to Ashley, everybody.
Happy Monday.
So that was the cowbell sketch. Hi, everybody. From Saturday Night Live.
A classic.
Which was, this is the unofficial tally. It was the most selected sketch by cast members for their favorite sketch of all time.
By cast members. Okay.
There's a lot of sketches. So it
There's
only
a
took
lot
like
of
two or
sketches.
three people. Like Will Forte was one of them. And I think maybe Seth Meyers might have been another one.
Yeah, look, we got to know how this voting process worked. There's so many sketches. Like, do they have to submit their top 50 and then they just see where there's overlap? Like, what? How does that work exactly?
Well, I was just, I don't even
Or do
think
they
it
all
was
just
a
sit in a room
competition.
together and go, oh, yeah, I like that one too?
But one of the things was they talked about the portraits they were doing with some of the cast members. And they can't do all of them at the same time. So they have groups. And like somebody walked in, it was like John Mulaney, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Will Ferrell. And somebody walked in the room and goes, oh, it's Lauren's favorites. And then they kind of were like, that's kind of a funny thing to say. And then Tim Meadows walked in. It was like Rachel Dratch and some other people. And Tim Meadows walked in and apparently goes, oh, what did I get in Lauren's least favorite group? And it was on a different day that he said the exact same thing. So apparently favoritism just is part of the recipe at SNL, which I get. We all have our favorites too, right?
Sure. I was thinking about it, and I think they redid the alien abduction sketch. The one that Kate McKinnon is just absolutely breakout in. I think that's got to be one of SNL's best time sketches, right?
Yeah, they had redone it as well. They did.
They've done it a couple of times.
Yeah, but the first one's just such an incredibly classic sketch. I mean, it's just her performance. That's amazing.
And she's so good in it.
Does it ruin it for you when somebody breaks during an SNL sketch? Does it? Or do you like it?
Not necessarily. I understand that what it is that they're selling is this sort of like live sketchy thing. And when people are doing stuff, you can't, you know, that's not like you can't yell cut. You got to keep going. So I don't mind it. I like that they think that what they're doing is funny, right? But if someone can do nothing but break, if they break every single sketch, I'd be like, oh, come on, buddy.
Who are you thinking of when you say that?
You know what you're doing here.
Who are you thinking of?
Oh, I don't know. Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon's, I think, the one that everyone thinks about. Yeah, like the Californians, when they get somebody like Kristen Wiig or Bill Hader to break, I think that's hilarious. I forgot how many people broke during the cowbell sketch. They're all just like struggling to get through that, except for, of course, Christopher Walken, who's right there just plowing ahead through everybody.
Cold professional.
Yeah. I mean, it's some people are just made to be SNL hosts, you know?
Yeah, well, and it seems like that is a really fun project for a lot of people because they, as I understand it, right, they have some input into which sketches they're going to do, and they can pitch stuff, and they get to be like a really big, fun part of this crazy show surrounded by top-tier comedic talent for this one project.
Yeah.
And then like after a week, they're off doing whatever next movie they're working on.
Well, it's nice when the host can like go like a solid week and then just go, "Phew, that was done." But the cast members are right back in the next week, man.
Yeah.
Doing it again. It's crazy. And it's wild too, because in this process, I have discovered Saturday Night Live sketches that I didn't even know existed. Like Fred Armisen, the one he chose as his favorite sketch was one written by John Mulaney, which was a Wizard of Oz about a cut character, and he plays a weather vane.
Okay.
It's really weird, and I went and watched it, and I get why Fred Armisen liked it a lot.
Right, that's the almost the trouble with SNL is it's every week. Well, when it's on season, and it's been going for 50 years now. That is a lot of sketches. Is there anyone in the world, even Lorne Michaels, who can think of every sketch?
Do you think that Saturday Night Live would have made it all the way to 50 years if not for YouTube?
I don't know. I mean, I know that TV in general has been in trouble, and SNL always goes through its, cast ups and downs, and people are always saying this is like not as funny as it was before. But before is a moving target. Before is like when I first started watching SNL.
Yeah.
Right. It's so for some people it's the 90s or the early aughts or specifically 2013 or whatever. Right. Everyone has their own picture in their mind, and it's changed from that. So it's not as funny as it used to be. So there's always some slip, right? Or your favorite cast rotates out and it's just not for you anymore. So that's normal, but it's always troubling as well for a TV show, especially something that long running.
Did you know that Lorne Michaels left the show himself for a while?
I did not know that.
And went and started another sketch show that didn't do well and then came back to Saturday Night Live.
Okay, weird, buddy.
It was early on, though. It was like, I want to say like around 1980 that he did it. So pretty early in the process.
Yeah.
Relatively, for 50 years now, relatively early in the process.
But yeah, I think that YouTube has, and social media in general, being able to have individual sketches and clips that go viral has been huge for SNL.
Yeah, and I was saying, could it have survived to 50 without YouTube? But really what I mean there is YouTube would have existed and it would have detracted from it. Could it have survived without their embracing of YouTube and putting all their clips up and promoting their clips on YouTube?
If they were like trying to get them taken down or just generally not leaning in.
And I thought it gave another revival to Saturday Night Live. I mean, there's never been a bad cast since like the mid 80s, I don't think.
Right. I mean, I think for some people, and I don't know why it seems like a comedy thing in general, people you're familiar with, like you have to almost get comfortable with this specific comedian or like brand of comedy or whatever before you feel comfortable laughing at them.
Maybe so. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Like it's weird when Bone Yang joined the cast. He joined the year, I think, that Shane Gillis was fired for his Asian impressions, and he had to keep answering questions about the other cast member. And he's like, don't talk to me about this.
Please, let's not. Can we not do that?
And then now he's like easily one of the most beloved cast members on that show currently.
Also, fantastic and wicked. Look, I'm just saying you should watch it.
We talk about YouTube and SNL. You think SNL's 50 years old. You talk about YouTube, it still feels like a relatively new thing. YouTube is now 20 years old. It just had its 20th birthday last week.
Like Friday or something.
Valentine's Day. Who knew?
It's the most romantic platform.
So it's been around. It's been around for 20 of SNL's 50 years. It came around in year 30. So yeah, big impact.
It is. YouTube has been around a surprising long time now. It's easy to still think of it as like this young thing, and it's not. It's older than some people who listen to this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, they've never known a media world without it. That's for sure.
It's almost hard to remember what it was like trying to consume content on the internet in the age before YouTube.
It was very lucrative for no, and it's one of the things we fight now is that to be online and making video means YouTube, which means you have to do the YouTube format and the YouTube style.
And do the YouTube thumbnails and everything that goes with it.
And you have to follow the algorithm. Even though everyone hates the algorithm, they'll judge you by whether or not you're following the algorithm and being rewarded by it. We're dealing with that right now because we want to do our own thing with the reacquisition of Rooster Teeth. And it's a challenge because there's going to be people out there who just look at it through the lens of YouTube, and that's all.
Yeah, and and similar to like SNL as well. It's like, well, this is I'm familiar with it being this way because this is the way it was when I started watching it, and it's not like that now. What gives?
When I go back and watch what is the classic, we're talking a lot about SNL today, by the way. The classic SNL stuff from season 1. I'm just like, wow, it's amazing what qualified as funny. That's a lot of my reactions to stuff.
But at the same time, it was a different era for television as well. It was, I would say less competitive at the time. Like there weren't, let's say, as many stations. There weren't as many things demanding your attention 24/7. And so, it was what there was. And they could build it, right? And sometimes, building it is a process. Very few shows hit the ground running from episode 1.
I mean, they even talked in the SNL biopic, if you want to call it that.
Saturday Night?
Came out. Yeah, Saturday Night. Milton Berle's in it, and he even references the fact that at one point, 97% of the American viewing audience was watching his show, which would be impossible today.
I don't think I could handle the pressure.
No. Well, yeah, that'd be near impossible. Anyway, other stuff going on in the world besides Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, speaking of big pressure, the BAFTAs. hold on, I'm going to remember what this is called. It stands for the British Association for Film and Television Awards, something like that. Anyway,
It is the British American Free Trade Agreement. It's weird how BAFTA and NAFTA are so close together.
No, but basically the British Film Awards were over the weekend, and so if you're looking. If you're like a lot of media and you're using this to be like, well, who's going to win the Academy Awards then? We're seeing who's winning this over here and who's winning this over here. And they like use it to decide who's the front runner for the Academy Awards. Brutalist seems to have done well. Honora seems to have done well. And Emilia Perez seems to have done well.
It's kind of like when you invite someone to a party or out to dinner or something and they ask who's going.
There's like, who else is going to be there? And you're like, me, motherfucker. Are you coming or not?
I hate that question more than anything else. But I'm with you. There's been some movies that have been surfacing during awards season that I just missed during the year. Honora, I know nothing about it. That just won for Best Actress. Best Actor was won by Adrian Brody for The Brutalist. I just keep hearing more and more about these movies late in 2024 and into 2025. Those are both on my list of movies now that I have to watch.
Well, according to Wikipedia, I'm going to read the summary for Honora. Well, look, I also haven't seen Honora. I don't know enough about it, except I think it did really well at Cannes. Honora is a 2024 American screwball comedy film produced, written, directed, and edited by Sean Baker. It follows the beleaguered marriage between Honora Makieva, a sex worker, and Vanya Zakharov, the son of a Russian oligarch. So it's a comedy?
Does sex worker, it's a broad category. Can we assume in that she's a prostitute?
Let's see the plot. Yeah, she's a stripper.
Oh, she's a stripper. Okay. You know, I got to say, this all kind of blends together a few things at one time. Years ago, I was helping, I'll try to anonymize this as much as possible. I was helping some people that I know get visas to come work in America, which was a great process long-term for us to go through because...
Right, for you to like learn how that all works.
It's not apples to apples going from the US to the UK, but it was very helpful figuring out like what you're going to need, including endorsements from industry professionals. And we had a lot. We had 2 BAFTA award winners who endorsed us to move to the UK. Haha, suckers. And
so these awards are very important to us.
Yeah. They've been influential in our lives, and we can't be grateful enough. But when we were helping people about 10 years ago move to the US, the equivalent of that would be an Emmy. I mean, a BAFTA is world-renowned regardless, but we had a couple of Emmy winners, including somebody from the UK who had won 2 Emmys. And you make it as easy as possible on them, right? You don't want to write anything for them, but you say like, well, here we wrote a bio for you. We did some research and here's a biography for you. And here's the type of letter that someone writes. Because obviously these are busy people, right? And you're very grateful and don't want to give them a bunch of homework to do.
Right. Like they've agreed to endorse you. You want to minimize any additional, like as much additional work as possible or any additional complications or anything that could get them like hung up for months at a time because they're very, very busy.
And one of the people that our lawyers wrote a bio for, one of the endorsers, the candidate called them and said, well, here's what the lawyers did. Here's the bio. He looked at the bio, the person making the reference, and said, well, that's very kind of your lawyers, but they've made an error. I have won an Academy Award, an Emmy, but it says here in my biography by your lawyer that I've won 2, and I haven't won 2 Emmys, unless there's some Emmy that they know about that I don't know about. And the candidate was mortified that we got it wrong and came back, and I was so apologetic, going, God damn, how do we like mess something up like that? The person calls back, apparently like 10 minutes later, and it said, I won a 2nd Emmy. And they had no idea that they had won a 2nd Emmy. It's been one of my favorite stories from my entire career. Is the person that we informed that they won a 2nd Emmy. Who didn't
realize they had more Emmys. They had to go to the mantle and start counting. 1, 2, son of a bitch.
Well, it was probably like one of the ones that's not televised, like an arts one, and it came like in a stack of mail and saying that you won, and they just didn't know until we notified them.
Right. It was like lost in the in whatever, like this week's ads.
Ashley, they have a wealth of Emmys. They can just miss one entirely. Where did I place that 2nd Emmy? They were completely unaware. I love that story. I thought it was fascinating. And how rewarding for them. They did this incredible favor for the candidate, and then they find out that they got a 2nd Emmy.
Good way to learn about it for sure.
I love it.
But that's not the only thing happening in the UK. We talked about this a little bit on our Patreon special episode over the weekend, but we wanted to talk about it today because this is a big deal. It's a big deal,
right.
and people deserve to know. Wales, which is a country here in this country.
It's one of the 4 countries in our country.
Is banning the meal deal.
It's a very big deal. You
And
know how I know?
If you heard an intake of breath from this country, you'll realize how big a deal it is.
Because they're getting ready to shout and yell at you for doing this. Here's how I know it's a big deal. People in the U.S. would be like, we have meal deals at Taco Bell and McDonald's. When you look up meal deal on Wikipedia, it might be biased based on where I'm making my search from. It comes up with the British meal deal and how it's part of the British culture.
In the United Kingdom, a meal deal is a sales promotion which consists of 3 items, a main, often a sandwich, a drink, and a snack, commonly crisps or confectionery. Meal deals are primarily eaten at lunchtime, and more than a third of Britons buy one at least once per week.
Weirdest sandwich. We run into these because we go to Tesco and Co-op and other places, and they have it. I said on the Patreon podcast this weekend that I have gone to the counter because I don't want the chips or the crisps, and I will get the sandwich and the drink. And they say, well, if you get a meal deal, it'll be cheaper. And it's like, well, I don't want them. I don't care if they're less expensive. And they say, no, it will literally be cheaper for you to get the meal deal than to get individually a sandwich and a drink. You know, if you add chips, it goes down in price, the whole thing.
Right, and one of the big meters I think for people measuring inflation in their daily lives is how much the meal deal goes up.
It's a very big deal, no pun intended. It really is. And
It's like if in the US they banned free refills. Which, by the way,
I thought that was a great analogy when you came up with that. Free refills is perfect. No one outside of the country understands why you would want a free refill on a 64-ounce drink, but I want it.
One of those ones that they have to make a special shape to fit in the cup holder of your car because it's so big that it's basically a 2-liter bottle with like a teeny tiny bottom.
The store has to have a special port for tankers to pull up and dump soda into it.
Well, but the bad news is, Bernie, actually, it's not just the meal deal at risk. They're looking at doing a whole bunch of sort of like bans and reworks to try and get people eating healthier food. This is specifically in Wales, but I imagine we'll see it more across the UK as well. But things like free refills of sugary drinks, buy one, get one free deals, meal deals, all of that stuff is going to get banned. Like, you're not going to be able to have these sort of like group up and get a discount on healthy foods. You won't be able to do that anymore.
If there is a dark side to social health care, universal health care, NHS, it would be that public health is an important thing to regulate on a daily basis.
Right, because if you have, say, what they're trying to combat here is specifically what they're calling like an obesity problem in kids. Mm-hmm. But as a result of that being, a more widespread issue, they tend to tackle it with things like regulation because everyone has to pay for it if it becomes medically expensive.
Yes. And, the chips are still there. You can still get the chips, right? They just can't. They're not allowing the retail outlets to encourage you to buy chips on top of everything else because it will be cheaper.
Right. Like the exact problem that you ran into.
Yeah. Chips were delicious. By we often talk about the weird flavor of crisps in the UK. The sandwiches are weird too, though. Like, what's the weirdest sandwich that you see?
I mean, they have a ton, but there's like, prawn mayo.
The prawn mayo, which is just basically like a layer of tiny shrimp.
Right. Or it's almost like a tuna sandwich or like a tuna salad or something, but it's prawn instead.
Yes.
I find that very strange. But also, like, even things that are not that weird are things I wouldn't expect to see just on a sandwich shelf in the U.S., like egg.
Yes, an egg sandwich or like a breakfast sandwich is another one. Then there's my personal favorite is tuna with sweet corn, which is really good.
It actually is really good.
I really like it a lot.
It's like just add a little sweet corn to your tuna sandwiches. You'll be surprised.
There's a weird thing, and because we're novices over here in the old country, sometimes we don't know what is Scottish and what is British. I'm not sure if this is Scottish or British. What is the deal with bakeries selling sandwiches with shredded cheese on it specifically. Why shredded cheese? Why is that a thing?
I don't know, but it happens a lot.
How is that
you can
different? What
you
a
can buy
mess.
just like a cheese sandwich that's basically mayonnaise and shredded cheese.
Shredded cheese. Yeah.
Specifically shredded cheese. And I don't understand it.
Are you supposed to melt it?
I don't think so.
Why shredded cheese? I don't get it. Like ham with shredded cheese and onion. That's a thing.
Maybe it's hold on. Maybe spread it on evenly.
Maybe
Just sprinkle some cheese on it.
maybe it's the presentation of it's overflowing with cheese, right? Could be that.
But yeah, I don't really understand. But there's a lot about the local cheese culture that we don't understand. Like that it's all cheddar.
Yeah. Like I had to go out of my way to order provolone, and that was tough. We've talked about this before.
Not only that, but Bernie, I see. Did you order raclette?
I ordered raclette because it's a melting cheese, and we can't get American cheese here. Which Ashley, I have looked up a search on Google search. How do I buy American cheese in the UK? They all have about 50 comments. None of the comments are helpful. You know what they all are? They're all critical of American cheese. Are you people not eating McDonald's? You don't like the American cheese that's on your cheeseburger? Because that's what that is, by the way.
And part of the trouble is that there's American-like cheese, right? There's the cheese slice.
Oh, God, no.
But it's not. The thing is, yes, but also no.
Yes.
It's
yes, but also no.
it's almost there, but it's not quite the same thing.
It's like somebody read about it in a book or something and said, I can make that. And then, no, you didn't.
Well, also, we've got some early numbers coming in from Marvel's newest film, Bernie, which is so Captain America: Brave New World came out last week on Friday. We're hoping to get to it this week. But apparently it's doing something in the range of 90 million in the US. They're expecting maybe 190 million globally for this opening weekend. So not bad for an opening.
I wonder how the international box office for a Captain America movie compares to previous Captain America movies, because I always thought that was the underperforming franchise internationally for Marvel for obvious reasons.
Right, because it's a character that's like specifically like America, fuck yeah.
Right. Maybe they'll rename him in other countries like we do with the Gulfs and things like that. Right? But the
Captain
good news
Free
is,
Refill.
I'm happy to congratulate Red Hulk was nominated for a BAFTA, so that's good. Congratulations, Red Hulk.
BAFTAs presented by Genlock star David Tennant.
We were supposed to see Captain America this weekend, but childcare just didn't work itself out.
Right, so we're going to get to it sometime this week, and then we'll be able to actually talk about it firsthand instead of third.
I'm happy. I want Marvel movies to do well. I don't know why. I'm happy for them to be in the background and just be awesome and great. And I can just go see a new Marvel movie once every year or once every, twice a year, maybe. I'm totally fine with that. Some people have this fatigue and they want them to fail. I'm not there at all.
Right. Almost like I want you to be bad so that I don't need to get more tired going to all these things.
Is that what you want? You want a break?
Right. Well, I need a break. And in order to get that, you have to be bad. Because if you're not bad, then I'm missing out.
Well, they've also slowed down quite a bit.
They have. And I think a lot of that was as a result of the strikes. A lot of these movies that are now coming out were slated to come out last year. I think Thunderbolts as well was expected in 2024 originally, but they had to slip a lot of the slate.
Thunderbolts. I hearing you say that sounds a little cynical to me, but when you say that, I think that's how I feel about Star Wars now. Like, I don't care if Star Wars is good or bad anymore at this point. And if it's bad, I'm like, well, then I don't have to watch it.
Well, I mean, you've also noted that for you in particular, the hit ratio of Star Wars is like not particularly high and is rooted in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, we're like 2 out of 9 at this point for me. I'm not one of the young kids who likes the prequels a lot. I realize those are really important to people that were born around like 1995. I'm not there. Of the
newer stuff, and I think I'm almost thinking of Star Wars now as more Disney series than movies, because there have been so many of those. But of those, we really liked Mandalorian. There's a lot of
them. Did we though? Because we didn't watch the last Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Boba Fett derailed us.
Yeah, it did. It really did. But we liked. Okay, so we liked early Mandalorian. We probably like more of it as well, except we got sidetracked by Boba Fett. But apparently there's another one that we need to check out that's new. That's Skeleton Crew.
Yes.
That's supposed to be like almost those, those 80s young adult movies.
Like Goonies? And
Yeah,
Explorers?
very much like in that vein with that kind of energy. Andor.
Stand By Me. They go see a dead
series.
Tauntaun.
So I feel like they've had a number of good things, but they've had so many that like are not great that the hit ratio is low enough that you don't think of Star Wars and go, hell yeah.
Yeah. And you missed my great Tauntaun joke.
I did. I'm so sorry. I was trying to like get sentences out of my mouth. We're recording a little bit early today and I feel off.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was just about to mention the fact that I'm bundling up with Finn and we're driving down to Edinburgh. So I had to load up his tablet with stuff that he might want to watch in the car when we do long road trips. It's like a special treat, get a lot of screen time and stuff. And Star Wars was one of the things I could download and watch, but I was left with this choice of there is, kid age Star Wars stuff now with some of these digital series. But what do I want to be his first Star Wars experience?
Ooh, right. That's a big responsibility for a parent.
Yeah. Did I want it to be one of these like young Jedis or whatever I saw?
And is it one that you want to just throw on, or is this something that you need to really carefully consider?
I mean, I even have to consider if I'm going to have him watch the movies. Does he watch 1 first or does he watch 4 first? Like, what do we do here?
I mean, I would say because 1 is very much like a kid movie that he would like to watch, right?
You putting Solo in there? You putting Rogue One in there?
Right, but like importantly, where it all began is like, do you make him watch where it all began before he gets to the fun kid like pod racing? Like, what? How do you handle that?
I don't know.
It's a big responsibility. But
choice.
There's a weird thing with kid shows in general right now. Do you know? There's 2 shows. And one of them is the Hot Wheels show, and one of them is this like Spidey and his friends show. And they both have. I'm going to look up who the lead singer is because he's from. Oh my god!
They might be Giants.
No,
right?
but that's all of like the bands from when we were cool are now doing music for kids shows. They Might Be Giants. They're behind the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, you were telling me this.
They're the hot dog dance, but I'm looking up right now. Hot Wheels show theme song.
You're going to find out it's like Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam or something like that.
Okay, here it is. Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy.
Oh, no shit, really?
Yeah, the Fall Out Boy. And his voice is really distinctive. He's a fantastic singer if you actually pay attention to it. I know a lot of us didn't listen to Fall Out Boy going, wow, listen to the pipes on that guy. But he's a really good singer. And he also is now doing the theme song for all the shows my kids are watching. And I'm really weirded out by it.
I know exactly what you mean. I found it really weird that Bluey Season 2, their theme song was Welcome to the Black Parade. I thought that was a really bizarre choice.
I should have seen this coming when I think My Chemical Romance did a cover of a song for the credits in Frozen 2. And I was like, I don't know what's happening right now. I like it, but I'm really confused, like how these two things are together.
What do you think started it all? Was it that? Counting Crows and Shrek? Was that what it was? I think they made so much money from that.
So much money.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna give the credit to They Might Be Giants because I think Mickey Mouse Clubhouse has been around for a while now.
All right, fair enough.
So, look, They Might Be Giants. You're breaking down walls, breaking down barriers between parents and children, generations.
Make that money, guys.
We're all doing the hot dog dance today. Speaking of which, doing the hot dog dance with us, I'd like to say a big thank you to Miles Kirkland and Abarathos. Thank you both so much for hot dog dancing your way all the way to the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse at patreon.com/morning somewhere.
Yes, thank you, Miles and Abarathos. All right, well, that does it for us today. February 17th, 2025. We will be back to talk to you tomorrow. We hope you will be here as well.
Bye, everybody.